What up? I'm live. Are you guys here? Got 6 people early. I got a new microphone plugged in, so if you can hear me, text it out, type it, let me know if you can hear me. And if it sounds good or if it sounds crappy. Sup, hi. I can hear you. All right. Good news. Man, we're busting here. Already 100 people. Yeah. Smash that like button for me. Helps the channel as well. I'm pumped to be back on here. Hopefully it looks better than the last Ask Coach C series. Hopefully it sounds better because I got a new microphone. This little guy right here. He's fuzzy. They call it the cattail microphone. On account of it looks like a dead cat. And then I'm using a tablet instead of my phone. For some reason, my phone was doing something weird where the front-facing camera is blurry, and somebody was telling me it was blurry, and I was like, that's a new phone. It shouldn't be. So I think there's some sort of malfunction with it. So anyways, hopefully it'll look better. We got a little bit wider screen, a little bit better setup. Now I'm really excited because Ask Coach C series is going to get like super awesome here in the next few weeks. I have a gym facility that's getting ready to open. We're going to have a shot mechanics court inside of there. So I'm hopefully going to do these Ask Coach C series like in a live setting on court so I can show you things with the ball, break it down, give you drills on the fly, whatever it is to answer your questions. So I'm super pumped to have you guys here, and just know that the Ask Coach C series is going to go like big time in the next direction, and that way I can really just like get in the gym and really kind of help you guys out. So if you have specific questions about your release, I can actually show you and that sort of stuff. So I'm pumped to be here, pumped to get it rolling. I was in Los Angeles a day ago for less than 24 hours. I went to an EA Sports kind of live party for the new NBA Live 18 release. So that was sweet. I got something cool coming for you guys on Wednesday on that, so keep an eye out. But let's just jump right into the questions. Now, if I don't get to your question, I'm really sorry. It's just almost impossible to get to them all. I'm going to try to go for about 20 minutes, give you guys some good answers to some good questions, and then hopefully we can get as many answered as possible. So I'm going to kind of scroll over here and check out some questions that we got going. Say Alex. What's up, Alex? So somebody wants to know, how do I get handles? So handles are really about kind of getting those game ready reps, right? Hand speed and hand quickness is good, but unless you're getting that kind of change of tempo, change of speed, a lot of times your handles aren't actually going to translate. So I always like to think about with handles, you want to be able to control the basketball from anywhere around your body, right? It might be in front of you, it might be behind you, it might be to the side. And if you can grab it with either hand and put it to any other spot, that's what you want for your handles. So what I like to do is I like to work on a lot of 2-move combos, right? Most of the time in a game, you're not going to have to dribble the ball more than 2 moves. And so I like to work on a lot of things like in-out cross, in-out behind the back cross, and kind of take those standard kind of basic moves that you'd use and then combo them together. And a lot of times if you can kind of master those combos together, you'll be able to make them up on the fly, be able to shift defenders pretty easily. So that's what I would recommend doing, is kind of two-hand combos. All right. Sheena Jones wants to know, did I watch the NBA playoffs? Honestly, this is the least amount of NBA playoffs I've probably watched in my entire life. I went to Greece for 10 days right when the playoffs were starting, so I kind of missed out on a lot of round 1. And then I've had like clinics, and I've been traveling, doing some other stuff. So really, it's been tough for me to keep up with them. I catch the highlights. I might watch like a quarter at a time, depending on what's going on. I've also got a 2-year-old who's kind of right in that middle of toddlerhood. So that kind of takes away from some of the game watching as well. But I always make sure that I get caught up and stay relevant for sure. All right. Could you do a Justin Jackson's shooting secrets? Maximus Hayes wants to know. I like it. I actually haven't dove into Justin Jackson a whole lot on his shooting mechanics, but they're definitely interesting. So I'm hoping, maybe in the next couple weeks, I'm going to put together kind of like a shooter's guide to the draft where I find kind of my favorite shooters and the guys that I think will translate into the style of NBA. So I think that'd be a really, really fun video to do. And maybe he'd make it into that one. Good question, though. Good question. All right, so I saw it going here. Where did it go? All right, so Zahara wants to know, how do you become aggressive in the paint and use height as an advantage? So anytime you're trying to get to the paint, the term that I always like to say is hunt the paint, right? Anytime you're on offense, you want to try to hunt the paint and get there off of the dribble. Now, once you get to the paint, right, that's a whole nother story. A lot of times we want to try to be in control with a 2-footed jump stop, because what we see with a lot of players is that they actually go really, really soft off of 1 foot, right? They go really fast as they possibly can, and they try to finish or pass or do everything off that 1 foot. And so if you want to finish with power in the paint and be aggressive, that's where you want to use that 2-footed jump stop and transfer your momentum from forward to up. Right, that's where you can really use that height advantage, because what a lot of players don't realize is if they do have the height advantage, they want to go up with power and strong, because that's going to get them a better look most of the time. So good question, good question. Can you do Trae Young shooting mechanics? Actually, I was thinking about doing some Trae Young shooting mechanics. He's a phenomenal shooter, right? He has a little bit different mechanics than a lot of people would normally have, right? He doesn't jump as high. His set point or his set point's a little bit lower than a lot of shooters. So he's a really interesting example of being an extremely high level player, but with a lower set point. So hopefully I'll get to it. Let's see here. All right, so Jay Camp says, I'm in 8th grade and I want to get better with my left hand. So the key to getting better with your left hand is just to do more reps with it, right? The more reps you get with your left hand, the better at it you're going to be. So anytime you're working out, whatever drills you're doing, I would do it with your right hand and then double up the reps on your left hand. So if you're finishing, let's say 10 right-handed layups, then maybe on the left hand you make 20 left-handed layups. You know, if you're doing in-out dribbles, maybe you do, 50 with your right and then you do 100 with your left if your left's your offhand. I would say that's probably the easiest way to go about it. There's really no magic solution to getting your offhand better. You just kind of got to get it caught up to the reps, because most people with their strong hand have done a lot more stuff, so the dexterity, hand-eye coordination is already there. So what I would do is I would probably just make sure that you're kind of doubling up your reps in any workout that you're doing. Let's see here. So Penn wants to know how to get a first step explosive step. So I'm hoping that in the very near future, I'm going to start bringing in some more experts that are better at the topics that I'm not super knowledgeable on. So things like plyometrics and explosion and speed is not really something that's kind of my forte. I mean, I study shooting day in and day out. So hopefully what I'm going to do is start bringing in people who know a little bit more about that sort of stuff. And then that way we can make sure that we're giving you the best information possible. So, I would highly recommend plyometrics. I know that worked for me when I'm younger, but as far as giving you a specific blueprint or plan, I can't really do that just because it's not really what I study. But hopefully I'll be giving you some more of those answers very soon. All right, so Blake wants to know, how did you get your YouTube channel started? Blake Parrish. Hey, that's a really good question. And it's kind of cool because it actually started out of failure. Some people know the story, some people don't. So basically, I started a website first, shotmechanics.com, and I put up like 150 videos on there, and I thought it was going to be this really big successful thing because nobody was doing anything like online basketball training at the time, really. So I made this website, spent a bunch of money on it, like my entire life savings, convinced my wife to let me do it, and then I put the website out there, and nobody came and visited, absolutely nobody. It was just crickets. So basically my YouTube career kind of started because I had all these videos. I was training players on the side, and I was just kind of like, well, what should I do with all this content? And so I just kind of started trickling it onto YouTube in hopes that it would kind of, bring people to the website. And really, at that point, I realized that YouTube was a much better teaching platform than my actual website. And so I decided just to kind of go YouTube full time. So after that point, once I ran out of videos that I was trickling, then I just started making them, and people seemed to like them quite a bit. So I just kind of pivoted a little bit back and forth. And it's kind of a great example of, even if there's a mistake or something goes wrong in your life, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's over or it's curtains, right? If you can pivot and stay agile and, kind of problem solve, you can still become successful. Good question, though. I love it. Let's see here. So, Cutting Edge Landscaping wants to know, how long do you practice every day? So I personally don't practice very much anymore. I spend most of my time studying shooting, working with clients, and then making videos for you guys. I mean, that's essentially what my day consists of. So I'll work out maybe 3 times a week as far as kind of like a skill workout, just to stay sharp enough to be able to shoot some videos with you guys and stay sharp with clients. But ideally, if you're a player, I would try to get probably 5 workouts in a week, maybe 6. You definitely want to be careful though, because you don't need 3-hour-long marathon workouts, and that's something that a lot of players don't realize. A lot of the times you can get all your stuff finished with just an hour or 45 minutes worth of work if you're going hard, right? That's the key, is a lot of players don't really actually practice at full game speed. So if you're actually going hard, like 45 minutes is going to burn you out pretty bad. So, I have a training program called the ProGuard Circuit System that's absolutely phenomenal, and it's based off of 45-minute trainings, right? And so you go hard, you get it out of the way in 45 minutes, and then you can be recharged for the next day. So, it kind of depends player to player, age to age, but for the most part, you want to work out between 3-5 days a week, for about an hour each time. Good question. All right, how do I not get boxed out? That's a good question. So I would say there's probably two main moves that you can use to not get boxed out. And I'm even going to scoot my chair back and demonstrate here a little bit. This is where a gym was going to be sweet because I could actually show you on a court. So there's kind of two main moves. Number one's the stab and go, right? That's a great way to go get offensive rebounds. So if I'm right here, let's say somebody's getting ready to box me out, right? A stab and go, as they turn to box me out, I'm going to stab one direction. So I'm throwing my shoulders this way. And so as they slide to box me out, I'm going to explode off that foot and slide by them the opposite direction, if that makes sense. So as they're coming to box you out, you stab and then go the other way. It's almost like a cutback that a running back would do in football, right? Where you juke one way, go the other. It's kind of the same thing, right? The other option you can do is a swim move. So as the defender's coming to close you out, you can put your hand on like their side or their shoulder and then swim your arm over the top and kind of push them through, right? So as they're coming through, I'm going to scoot back here. As they're coming through, you can put your hand on their side, boom, swim over the top, and that way their momentum as they're coming out to box you out will probably make them go the opposite direction. So that's a really great way to be able to kind of swim move past them as well. Those are two really good ones. Let's see what else you guys got. You guys got great questions today, man. You guys are killing it. Austin Johnson says some of these questions suck. No such thing as a bad question, only bad answers, my man. All right. So ML Glazerman said, shooting tips for kids. So the biggest issue with kids when it comes to shooting is that they get really used to wanting to have that perfect set point, and we get really used to loading the ball up here by the chest, right? I've been to a bazillion shooting clinics where everybody lines up in a line, and they all do this, and everybody squats down, we set the ball right here, and it just doesn't make any sense because you don't get your upper body momentum and movement, right? So the biggest thing that I would recommend for kids to shooting is work on starting the ball lower down by their waist or down by their thigh. If you can do that, most of the time you're going to work on that smooth release, and that's what's really going to translate into a game when they get older to play. So that's probably the biggest thing. Don't load it high, load it a little bit lower. I got some good ones. Jev, what's up? Should I release up or forward? Ooh, okay. So Zach wants to know, should I release up or forward? Phenomenal question, right? So if you release forward, that's going to give you a little bit flatter of a trajectory on your shot and give the ball a mathematically smaller probability of going in, right? Because if I'm shooting, it's going to be at a flat line. So the target area that the ball sees is going to be something small, something kind of like this. Whereas if I shoot with arc and I get it up, the ball's going to get more arc on its shot, and so it's going to see a larger target area, something probably like this, when it's going into the hoop. So I would definitely suggest more arc rather than a flat shot, because it's not only going to give you better optimized arc, but it's also going to give you better touch if it does end up hitting the rim. So that's where you see a lot of shooters have like that shooter's touch. So I would definitely recommend a higher arc. Whoa, I'm way behind questions. Sorry, I'm trying to catch up here. All right, so Joe R wants to know, how do I stop getting blocked in the paint? Now, this is a big issue that a lot of younger players have, right, is getting blocked whenever they try to get to the basket. So the very first thing you need to do is you need to work on a crafty finishing package. A lot of players just get used to shooting just a regular layup with their right hand, regular layup with their left hand, but in all actuality, to be able to finish in the paint and around the rim, you need a bunch of different stuff, right? You need an inside hand finish, an outside hand finish, a reverse finish, an up and under finish, right? So the more finishes you have, that can actually help you out a ton. But the biggest key that I would say is over penetration. What you find out is a lot of players drive too far into the hoop and then try to go up with their shot rather than getting the shot up earlier as they're driving towards the hoop. So this is when things like floaters, runners, scoop shots, those are the ones that you kind of really want to practice. And if you watch a lot of the best finishers in the NBA, guys like Isaiah Thomas and Kyrie Irving, the reason why they're such great finishers at the rim is because they're definitely dangerous at that runner, that floater, kind of that scoop game, right? Because if you're dangerous, then that's going to pull the D out. They can't just sit by the hoop and let you go all the way in. And so once you do, that's when you can get the other finishes by the hoop. So the biggest issue that I see is that over penetration where players get too far underneath the hoop. So you're definitely going to want to try to work on that floater, runner, and scoop game. Sorry, I'm trying to catch up here. You guys got some phenomenal questions. I wish I could answer every single one of them. All right, so how do I stop the ball from hitting my forehead when going up for a shot? Tiano wants to know. So as you bring the ball up, right, if the ball's hitting your forehead, it's probably because your set point is just a little bit too far back, right? You might just need to bring it forward a little bit. Another thing might be that your head might be tilting forward. So as you're getting ready to shoot, your head might be tilting forward too far, and so that might be causing that forehead hit as you come up. So what I try to do is try to position your head back just slightly. You don't want it too far back, but if you can position it back just slightly, and then if you can bring the ball up rather than back. So don't think about bringing the ball back to your set point. Think about having it up and pretend like you're trying to graze your nose as you're going by. So I'm trying to graze my nose as I'm going up, and then that way it's not going to go back to hit your forehead, right? So the odds are that this is probably happening because you have an early set point, your legs are still loaded, and so you're bringing it up and kind of stopping for a second, and that bring up and pause is probably what's hitting you in the head. So best of luck. Try that. Then when did you start playing basketball? Ethan Barker wants to know. So I like really started playing basketball in probably like kindergarten or first grade. Didn't really play competitively or on like a team until I think third grade, I want to say. And then played AAU from third grade, through junior high, and then played high school and did all that sort of stuff. So I kind of officially started playing basketball like at recess on the playground and stuff in about first grade, somewhere around there. Oh, shots fired. Willie says he's the best shooter in the stream. I bet we got a lot of good shooters on here. That's what watching my videos does. Better defender, Patrick Beverley or Avery Bradley? Champ Ross wants to know. Hey, that's a great question, and something, defense is super underrated. We're called shot mechanics, not defense mechanics, but I really respect a guy who's going to get up in somebody's grill and play some defense. I think overall I like Avery Bradley's game better, but as far as straight defender goes, if I had to pick, I would actually like Patrick Beverley, right? I mean, that guy's got some nasty, like, kind of like defender streak in him where he's like, he's going to shove you a little bit, he's going to give you an elbow, a little bit of a hip check. And really, I mean, watching Houston play this year, he's one of their keys to success because he would just get in guys' heads and just kind of lock them down. So love me some Patrick Beverley. Probably need to do a defensive breakdown and definitely kind of include both those two guys because they're both animals. All right, so Notable wants to know, Coach, all week during practice I perform really, really well. But when it's tournament time on the weekends, my shot really struggles, and it's almost like I feel uncomfortable with the ball. Any tips? Yeah, so that basically kind of means that you're a practice player, right? And practice player is something that happens to a ton of people, right? They play really well in practice, but then once game time starts, things kind of go off the rails a little bit. So the biggest key and the biggest kind of trick that I like to use to help practice players get better in games is what I call mini goals. And some of you may have heard me talk about mini goals before, but mini goals is basically just the concept of allowing yourself to have these like kind of micro goals to get inside an actual game to keep you aggressive and to keep you confident, right? So a lot of players will just kind of play a game and they'll just kind of drift up and down, and if they get the ball, great. If they don't, and they can't really get themselves inserted in the game. So what you can do is you can use these mini goals to set like specific things that you want to try to get accomplished in smaller chunks in the game. So you might say, I want to shoot, or I want to make sure, so one of your goals might be, I want to make sure that I shoot 4 3-pointers this game, right? So you're going to try to actively shoot three-pointers so you can get 4 of them in the game, because you don't want to get to the fourth quarter and be like, I didn't shoot any threes, so that means I got to jack a bunch of threes up to hit my mini goal, right? So the idea is you want to set like 2 or 3 mini goals to hit during the game, and that will help make you more aggressive, and in turn probably make you play more like a practice player where you're playing without that pressure on the line, right? So great mini goals would be like number of threes to shoot, or times to get to the free throw line, or, you know, you can even make them even like more specific, like I want to, you know, drive to, or I want to hunt the paint twice and then be able to kick out to a player or a teammate of mine, right? So they don't necessarily have to all be scoring based. It might be I want to deflect 5 balls this game with my hands, or it might be I want to, you know, I want to make 4 free throws, so that's going to make you more aggressive trying to get to the line to get those extra free throws, right? So I would definitely concentrate on mini goals and see if that helps you out, right? And you can play with them a little bit. Everybody's mini goals are probably going to be a little bit different, but that's definitely probably my biggest key to making sure that you're in the game and getting good looks when you're in game time. Sorry, I had a little brain fart there. And you guys are killing it. We're about 20 minutes. I'll try to get like one more in here. How to handle a trapping defense by Angelo. Sorry, I'm going to butcher your last name. Asmeralde? Sorry, my bad. But how to handle a trapping defense, right? So think about a trap for a second. What they really want to do is speed you up, right? Make you play at a faster pace than you actually want to play. And a lot of times, I mean, that's the point of a press or a trap, is that they want to speed you up. You'll throw the ball, it'll be a bad pass, etc. So basically what you want to do is you want to be able to play at your own pace. So the first thing you can do is keep your eyes up so you can see traps coming, right? A lot of times traps come when players' eyes go down to either look at the ground to dribble or they mishandle or something, and that can trigger a trap, right? So number 1, try to keep your eyes up. That way you can avoid it to begin with. Number 2, when the trap does come, don't panic and use a retreat dribble to try to separate space. A lot of times when a trap comes, the first thing players do is they pick the ball up and they go like this because they're kind of scared, right? And they lose their dribble and the trap smothers them. So what you can do is, I'm going to do a little demo here. Again, this is where the gym's going to be sick. If you got the ball and you see a trap's coming, you can throw your shoulders forward and then use a retreat dribble to get this extra space or separation away from the trap, right? So a lot of the times if you can get that extra separation, it's going to give you that extra second to survey the floor, see where everybody's at, and they aren't going to speed you up, right? So that retreat dribble is huge because from there you can kind of pick and choose what you want to do. You might see you have an open pass over the top, or you can figure out which one of the 2 trappers is going to be easier to beat, right? That way you can do a move and then beat one to the outside, beat the other one to the outside, or split it up the middle. So I would definitely really work on those retreat dribbles and that hesitation, change of speed, change of direction, because that's the key to beating traps, right? And the last little tip for that is if you haven't used a dribble yet, you want to use ball fakes before you put a dribble down. So let's say I catch the ball and they're running like maybe a half-court trap or something like that, and the trap starts coming. As I see it coming, I want to throw some sort of ball fake in the opposite direction and then attack the opposite direction, right? So if I catch the ball and the trap's coming, and I ball fake this way, then I want to drive the opposite way, because what that's going to do is the ball fake's going to shift them just slightly, and it's going to allow you to go over the top. So ball fakes, you know, use your eyes to sell the ball fakes. That's going to help a ton too. And if you can do that, you're going to be able to beat pretty much any trap. All right. Hey, you guys are awesome. You're phenomenal as always. Don't forget, if you haven't, you're going to want to click the link in the description, get a free copy of my 7-day shooting challenge. Shooting challenge is going to revolutionize the way you think about training your jump shot, and honestly is increasing, you know, players' shooting percentages in the very first week that they use it. You know, this is what I do for a living. You know, I study jump shots. I put together workouts, and I think you're really, really going to like it. So if you haven't checked it out yet, you're definitely going to want to do that. Link in the description down below, and you guys are awesome. So I'll see you on the inside. Again, this is Coach Colin Castello with Shot Mechanics Basketball on another episode of the Ask Coach C live series. Thanks for watching, and hopefully next time I just might be in a gym. Splash on.